I think in terms of defunding the police, it's not an outright defunding. I think we need to delegate and reconfigure our resources towards institutions that are supporting students, not necessarily those that are helping the police. I think there's a huge disconnect with UCPD and students. There's a lot of lack of trust that's happening, and we would like to work with UCPD in building these workshops and programs to really help get the relationship between UCPD and UConn campus a lot better, working cohesively while also supporting students in areas like mental health, CSD, and things like that.
Yeah, I would also add that our platform is not afraid to say defund UCPD. I believe that this is essential to like listen to what the community wants. I in this whole year there has been too much debate, too much yelling, as it's been explained, and USG has been taking a nonpartisan stance on this issue, but we have to address police brutality within our communities and understand how this has infringed upon the rights of individuals that have for too long felt unprotected and have felt violated by police. And it's unacceptable that when we need mental health crisis interventions, that UCPD is the person that shows up at the door. We need to better equip our mental health staff to address these interventions to better help our most vulnerable BIPOC students.
I definitely agree with what was just said, that we need to defund UCPD and reinvest that money into mental health, because that's what actually makes a difference in the students' lives. It goes with race, with the BIPOC community, and that they need mental health resources, not more police. And it also, I think, goes along with the issues of sexual assault on college campuses, and that if you're sexually assaulted, if you're raped, a police officer is not equipped to be the one talking to you directly after that, but that is who shows up. So we need to reinvest that money. We need to be giving it to mental health resources, so that it's someone who's trained and who's aware of how to handle that situation is the one coming to you. And Nico, do you have anything to add?
Not too much, other than the fact that like the hardest thing to like swallow about it is that like the USG's already tried, and like I almost called him Tomcat, but the president of the institution like tried to like shut that down, and we might need to compromise a little bit, maybe take some more from another department, maybe athletics, but we still need to take a good chunk out of the UCPD, defund as much as we can, and do as much as we can, because as it stands, it's an atrocious situation.
Before I answer this question, for all the viewers at home and on campus, hopefully, I want to demystify what defunding is, because it's something that's been mischaracterized, something that's not been spoken about right. It's been defined wrong. So I'd like to clarify what that is. Defunding the police does not mean screw the police. Does not mean we don't need the police. What it means is that the police function for a specific purpose, and they do best in responding to violent incidents. Right? There are incidents that do not require the police. And in speaking about this, one thing that I do want to say, I think we all can agree on defunding the police, right? The main difference between us and the people that we're running against is that we've been doing this over the past few months. After Defund UCPD, we had our whole, our movement that happened over the summer. We've sat down several times with UCPD, Residential Life, and several other institutions to address the problems at this university. And UCPD has actually on multiple occasions agreed to defund about 5 positions, which would be about $500,000. What we want to do with those positions is actually, to our candidate's point, redirect certain situations out of police hands. We want to allocate positions for survivor advocates to actually address sexual assault after it happens and help walk the victim through what happened. 2016, we were #1 in the nation in reported sexual assaults. And from 2016 to 2018, we've only dealt with 3 of those cases. It's disgusting. So if we had that situation, clearly there's a different face that needs to show up, at least at the first interaction. Another position we want to help create and facilitate is a mental health specialist. We know that students on campus, there's been reports of people having mental health episodes, having situations where the police have been called to help deal with a situation. The police shouldn't have to deal with that situation. There should be somebody specialized to deal with that situation. In relation to cannabis policies, What people don't know is that freshman year, in my juvenile behavior, I was
Mason,
called a cannabis.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. You're over your
Cool.
time.
So I think the university has finally heard our call to not only implement and expand the therapists at Shaw. With the current plans, tuition rates are increasing by 2.2%, and with that, there will be an addition of 4 mental health clinicians as well as 3 health educators. And we not only do we need more mental health services and therapists, but we also need these to be a reflection of our student body. And we do not need any more, we need more diverse, intersectional, LGBTQIA plus, international and bilingual therapists. I know personally for me, when seeking out therapy, I didn't understand the importance of having that cultural awareness that a therapist can use to help me understand my issues, my own personal problems. And then going forward, we also need to expand Shaw to also include same-day appointments. It's not enough to just have a hotline crisis, but we need same-day appointments to handle our mental health crisis right now.
I absolutely agree with what Christine said. We definitely need to be expanding the therapists that we have. They need to be diverse. And also we definitely need to work on making them affordable because all students need to have access to this. And also it's another way that BIPOC students are discriminated against, the fact that they are less likely to have access to those resources. And then additionally, one way that we can fight the stigma is having a conversation about disability and mental health, because those two often go hand in hand. And I'm disabled, so I totally understand there's totally a stigma around it. And I think we need to just talk about it. And I need to, if you're disabled, it's okay to wear a disability on your sleeve and say, hi, I'm Abby, I'm disabled. That's fine. And then also, I mentioned this earlier, but we need to push some more money to CSD, to the Centers for Students with Disabilities, because if you have depression or any kind of mental health, any kind of mental illness, you need to be able to get accommodations for your class so that you can manage it and be just as academically successful as any student without any of those conditions. And that is one way that we can improve equity too, because that's absolutely free to go to CSD. And if that's available to more students, then we can definitely improve equality and mental health that way. Thank you.
When I think of this question, I think of Mental Health Action Day. Shout out to my UConn fam. And that's where, we first sat down. We actually went into the Board of Trustees meeting, shared our testimonies, and talked about the discrepancies in the UConn mental health system as it pertains specifically to BIPOC folks. And I remember, because Abby, you bring up having a conversation about, opening just, we all have problems, and that's okay. When we were actually sharing our testimonies, when we were having roundtable discussions, I remember this one student that wasn't even a part of the event. She was just helping set up for the event. She came over and talked about all the issues that she had with Shaw. And there's 2 things that specifically stand out in my mind that Shaw needs to address. One is the transparency on what insurance covers, right? If you have UConn insurance, you have Blue Cross Blue Shield or any other insurance provider, you should know ahead of time what your insurance covers. So you don't have to jump through hoops only to be told that your insurance was denied. The second thing I think is that, it's been said before, I'm going to say it again, Shaw needs to increase its diversity hires, its cluster hires, and not just make sure that there's ethnic diversity, LGBTQIA plus diversity, but also language diversity. And I'm going to pitch the rest of my time to Ethan.
Mason just mentioned how he went and spoke in front of the Board of Trustees, and I'm happy to say, as a member of the current Board of Trustees, tomorrow morning, I'll be voting in favor of a $1 million increase to Shaw in the form of a $53 increase to our student fee bill, because students deserve more service. And that money will go towards a half dozen new clinicians who will actually help and address the mental health crisis on this campus. However, I will say we also see this as, actually, I think I'm out for time. Sorry, but go ahead.
Cool. So first and foremost, I want to thank the Daily Campus and USG for providing us with this medium to share our ideas and initiatives. And secondly, I want to shout out our amazing campaign team for making this entire thing possible. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Now, when I think of the role of the president of the student body, a certain quote comes to mind. And it's a quote I remember reading a time ago on social media when I was stepping into the role of student council president at my high school. And before entering that role, I was in a position where night in and night out, I would sit and ponder on what type of leader I wanted to be, what issues I would focus on, and how I could make a lasting impact that would stick around far longer than I would. And then one day it hit me, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was scrolling through social media, looking at friends' posts and memes, nothing really specifically. And then I came across a post of a person, and they were giving a TEDx style presentation. And I remember on that post in stark white, with a stark white background in black lettering, it read, "Be who you needed when you were younger." When I was a first year student at UConn, I saw so many issues I wanted to help change. I saw the way that mental health was a service that seemed to take a back seat at the university. I saw the discrepancies in residential life policies and campus policing. I saw the issues in the culture of USG, as well as the potential for amazing student advocacy. And as a first year student, I felt powerless to change these issues. I was young, in no leadership positions, and I wasn't even an in-state student. However, that was then, as this is now. And as I sit before you today, my goal is to be the leader that I needed back then, that I would have wanted to represent my peers and I. And to be frank, this election is not about us. This is about you, the people watching at home, the students. We're running for you, the 18,847 undergraduates that attend UConn currently, and those who will attend UConn in the future. We're asking you to trust in our vision, our leadership, and our ability to bring people at this university together to accomplish wonderful things. Now, from March 2nd to March 4th, when you cast your votes, ask yourself, what do you need? Who represents the vision you want for you, your peers, and future Huskies? Let's take that next step together and elect myself and Ethan Wursler to be your next student body president and vice president. Thank you all for allowing me the space. God bless you all.
So I guess I'll start by saying again, thank you Daily Campus and everyone here for like helping us with this. You guys are really awesome. I mean, it's like a Tuesday night. There's so many things you could be doing. It's Mooyah Tuesdays, could get Mooyah, but you're here, so that's amazing. So the first thing I want to say is also echoing, I think Ethan Mason said this before, we tried reaching out at the start and then realized we don't really have that many followers, so nobody really reached out. But you can always DM us anything on Instagram. We'll try to respond. We'll do as fast as we can. And like, of course, as honest as we are able to. So anyways, there's really not that much that's special about me. I'm just kind of like a person. So what that means is that like, I don't know, I'm just kind of the average, like just an average student. Like I said, I started running just because I saw the thing in my email, like about you can run. And the truth is, I just did it because I was like, why not at first? But then I started learning about USG and about how much it does, about how like it controlled, I think this past semester, like $1.7 million in funding for like tier 2. It basically passes legislation that goes to like the desk of the admin. And I was like, how do people not know about this? And that's like the sad reality is that it's hard when you're in USG to look outside the USG bubble and realize there are so many students who aren't part of these organizations they're working with and aren't part of USG. And no matter like as much as you think you can do, you're not really going to reach out to them. It's just because a lot of people are just, they're just people like me. I'm just, I don't know. And like, the reason I stayed in was because, well, honestly, I'm kind of scared. It's like a lot of work. And like, there's so much other stuff I could be doing, like baking bread or like playing video games. But the thing is, like, it makes me sad to think that like things would just continue and there wouldn't be these fundamental changes that need to be made in order for just the average person to basically be reached out to. And I don't know, I think that's one thing we often forget is that just like a lot of people, college is just college, and I don't know. So thank you for my time in this platform, and stay informed, look at all the other candidates. I think we'd all be awesome choices, honestly.
It's an honor to follow up after that. That was great. I first wanted to take this time to thank Kayla, Peter, and Michael for moderating this event for us all. I also wanted to acknowledge all the love and support Noel and I have received from our friends, mentors, and families throughout our campaign. You all know who you are. Y'all inspire me to be the best advocate and activist I can be. Thank you all for that, all that you have taught and instilled with me. With that said, I also want to take this time to acknowledge those that can't be here with us tonight. During this past year, our community has been plagued with more grief and loss than one could ever imagine. I'd like to take this time as a moment of silence for the Huskies, friends, and family our community has lost. Para Andre Evangelista, Siempre va a estar en nuestro corazón. UConn, we're all hurting and we're all tired. We face a daunting tomorrow ahead of us, a challenge we never imagined in our future plans. Our most vulnerable, marginalized, and oppressed communities have had their traumas and histories brought to light during this year, and we can't let that go in vain. We must use this time to inspire and uplift one another. We must build each other back up with love and respect and with empowering each other. I can surely say this now, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not always going to be the best I can be. I won't always have the perfect speech as seen by my numerous setters throughout the night, but that only makes me human. The difference is, despite it all, I still care, and I'll still fight and advocate for you all. I believe in the human rights of all, and this is what we're fighting for. This campaign is for the Latinx individuals who felt like they were too white for the Latinx Hispanic population, but too Latinx for the white population. This is for the LGBTQIA plus individuals that continue to feel ostracized in a heteronormative society. This is for the female identifying individuals that had to speak louder in the room just to feel heard. I'm doing this for survivors who still may not feel comfortable on our campus, or those of us who are still coming to terms with our trauma. This is for my family who fled from a tyrannical dictatorship to build a new life for themselves and our family. And this is for younger me who constantly Americanized my name to fit the Anglo tongue. My name is Christine Jorquera, and I'm ready to be your next student body president.